Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Data Analytics with Career Guidance course. Today, we are in day 6 of SQL Server class. So today, we'll be learning date functions and number functions. This is the continuation of the text functions. So today, we'll see how we can use these date functions and number functions in SQL Server. I have connected this SQL Server and I have one notepad for you people, wherein I've listed down all the functions of date and numbers. First, let's go with this date functions. We have something called as get date. This is something like today in Excel. So I'll try to compare with Excel as well so that people can actually understand how SQL Server and this can be related. Get date. Let's go here. Here I'll say new query. First, what I'll do is I'll just try to connect. Oh, right. Select get date. Okay. No parameters for this. And if you want to give a name, say current select see, we'll get today's date. So if you want, you can change the format for changing this time as well. Okay. All right. Next, suppose I have a date and I want to get day, month, and year. I'm trying to extract day, month, and year, but suppose if you want to get the month name, okay, so we can use this date name. So how we can use this? Let me just show you. Let's say we'll take this database itself. I'll say select from orders. This is my table. I want to extract day, month, and year from the order date. So here I just took the current date. That's why I didn't use the table. Now I'm trying to extract day, month, and year from orders table. Go here, say order date. If I execute this, you can see that I'm getting the date from orders table. Now we'll say date name. Date name is just trying to extract the day, month, and year. So what I'll do, go here, open bracket. So we'll mention the interval. So what is interval? Interval is nothing but whether it is day, month, or year, what I'm trying to extract. Then we'll mention order date. Okay, close bracket. If you want to give a name for this, I'll say get date. Okay, just giving a column name for this. Select the query F5. You can see that I'm getting this date. The date has been extracted. That is day from the date. Let me copy this. Now I'll say month. Now the interval, I've changed this to month. Here I'll give the column name. Get. If you're not giving this, alias name, we'll get no column name. Okay. Select if I can see that I'm getting the month name. Suppose I want to get year. Say date name. Here I'll mention year, order date, copy this. and we'll say get year. Okay, let me select the query and press F5. See, I'm getting this day, month, and year. So likewise, I can use this date name where I'll get this day, month, and year. All right. Next, date part. Date part is again similar to this date name. I'll tell you what is the difference, but let's finish this date part and then we'll try to understand what is the difference between date name and date part. Date part. Again, this will extract day, month, and year. Let me go here. Select from arts. Right? So we are selecting order date. Right. Now we have this date part. Same parameters. Let me give the interval and I'll take the order date, close bracket, say as get date. Let me select this, press F5. You can see that I'm getting this date. Next, I'll copy the same function. I'll try to extract month. I'll give the interval as month. Okay. Now here, let me mention it as month. All right. Now just observe when I execute this query, the date name, it was giving me January, February, March, like a string. But when I'm extracting this, when I'm executing this query, you can see that it is giving me in number. All right, let me copy this. Let's extract year as well. Go here, I'll say year. And here I'll say year. Select F1. See, I'm getting day, month, and year. If you just check this, date name was also giving me day, month, and year. In date part also we're getting day, month, and year. But the difference is here, whatever we get the data that is in characters. That will be like a string. But here what we get date part, this will give me in numbers, that is say integer. The difference is this will be text and the date part will be integer, that is in number. Okay. All right. Next, date from parts. Now what happens? I have a date and I'll split that into day, month, and year. What if I have the date in separate columns like day, month, and year? If the date itself is like day, month, and year in separate column, I need to combine that and then get a date. So for that, we call it as date from parts. Now in Excel, we have a formula that is date formula, which will accept day, month, and year, and then it will give me a date. Similarly, here we have something called as date from parts. So let's go here, work on that. Select. So here, since I don't want this from the table, I directly will take here date from parts. So what are the parts? Say we have three parameters here. The first part is, let's say, the year. The second part is the month, say 7. Third part is the date. Okay. Now if I execute this, see, I'm getting the date here. You can see the date. So date parts will take the values, that is day, month, year, and then it will convert that into date and will give me the output. Now I can give name here, say get date. So this will give me the column name. That's it. Okay. All right. Then we have date, time from parts. Okay. So you can just try this. So here again, what we have here is the date. Here we have date with time. So here we have day, month, year, and we have hour, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, so everything will be there. So you have to give this. You just try this. Next one is date. This is an information formula. If you want to validate whether it's a date or not, sometimes when we extract the data, what happens? There are some dates which are not in date format. They'll be in a text format. So if you want to check whether they are date or not, then I can use this is date. So this is the function which will give me whether it is a date or not. So here we'll get a result like 1 or 0. 1 is false, 0 is true. Now what I'll do, let me select this, okay? And I'll paste it here. Instead of typing, I'll just show you. So this is the date. Now let me select this and I'll say execute. See, it is saying 1. Sorry, 1 is actually true, 0 is false. Again, I repeat, 1 is true, 0 is false. Let me select this and say fi, you'll get this 0. That means it is not a date. Okay. All right. So whenever you want to validate the date, whenever you want to check the data, just try to use this is data. Suppose if you want to use the same thing on the table, let's go here and see. Select from orders. Okay. Now I'll take order date, comma, and I'll say is date of order date. Copy this. Sometimes, I just copy and paste the column name so that we don't make any mistake. Okay. As validate. Okay. Now let me execute this. Fi, see, all are 1. That means all are valid date. Okay. All right. Next. EO month. Everyone knows that EO month means end of month. End of month means I have a date. I want to get the last date, the end date of that particular month. Now let's take the date from order date itself. I'll just copy this and paste it here. Okay. Now here, take EO month. Open bracket. I'll take this order date and then say as last date. All right. Now let me select this query and press Fi. You can see here I have this 8th November 2017. Here you can see 30th November 2017. So here what happens, it will give me the last date, that is the end date. All right. Okay. Next step. Suppose I want to get end date of next month. Copy this. And here I'll say comma 1. Select F5. See, this will give me the last date of the next month. Let's try -1. See, last date of the previous month. So likewise, I can specify the value so that it will give me the last date of the specific index what we have given. Say, if I don't give anything, that means it is for the current, the month what we have. For that, we'll get the last. Okay, you can specify any value here. What if you want to get the number of days in a month? If you want to get number of days in a month, say days in month. If someone asks you, or if you get any test like this, now in interview and all, asking for the number of days in month, see, we get the last date here, and we know the formula. That is, we have this date part. We can use date part, or there is a formula called as day. Okay, let's say day of this. Now what this day will do, this will extract the day from the last day. I'm going to say Fi, I can see the number of days. So likewise, we can actually get the last day of the month. Right. Next, coming to this date name and date part, we also have a function that is day, month, and year. Let me just tell you about that. They select from orders. Okay. Now I want to extract day, month, and year. So we used date name and date part. Similarly, we also have one more way of extracting day, month, and year. We have this function day. Then we have month. Then we have year. So these are the three functions which will help us in extracting day, month, year, exactly like what we have this date parts and date name. In date name, that will be the output will be the text format. Date part will be in the format of numbers. So here I have this day. Here also will get the output as integer, that is numbers. So what I have to do, just mention day of order date. Okay, we're trying to extract order date, that is day of order date, month of order date, then year of order date. Okay, now let me select this query. Say F5. You can see that I'm extracting day, month, and year. If you want to give column name and say as get date, copy, month. Say year. Select. See. Right. So we understood how to extract day, month, and year. So here, day. Right. So we understood about how to extract day, month, and year. We have a formula called as date diff. Date diff is actually used for finding the difference between two dates. Let's say I have two dates here, that is select from orders. Order date, comma, ship date. Let me select this. Say F5. See, I have two dates. I want to find how many days are there in between this order date and ship date. How many months, how many years. So if you want to get the number of days, months, years, quarters, we can use this date diff. So we have to mention the interval. The interval is what? Year, quarter, month. Okay. So all these are actually the intervals. So I'll just show you for a few of them. Because here we have only in days. So let's take days only. Let's go here. I'll say date diff. Okay. Let's select this function. Then it lasts for starting date. We'll take this order date. Let me copy this. Copying the column, order date, comma, then ship date. So here we're taking this order date and ship date. What is the interval? Let's say I want the result in day. Let me select this. I'll say execute. You can see that I'm getting the number of days, the difference between these two dates. Right. Let's see for month. Now, if I give month, it won't give any result. It will say 0 because the difference between these two is only 3 days. So what I'll do, let me go here. We'll take some date like this. Directly, we'll use the formula date diff. Then we'll say month. The starting date will say 1st Jan 2020. Second date will say 1st Jan 2023. Okay, let's see. execute this. See, there are 36 months from January 1st, 2020 to 23. There are 36 months. What if I change this to year? Let me take this and I'll put it here. I'll say year. Let me select and say FI. See, there are 3 years. So likewise, I can use this month, year, or something like this. If you want day, you can use day. In this case, I cannot use month because if I use month, if I run this, see, it will give me 0 because they are just in number of days. Okay. All right. So date diff, we have so many intervals. I put across all this, the intervals, you just try this. Date add. Suppose I want to add a date. What is adding a date? Say, for example, let me copy the same query and I'll paste it here. Right? I'm taking this order date. Let's take only order date. For this order date, I need to add the number of days, month, year, or whatever. I'll say date add. Open bracket. Again, I need to specify the interval. Now I'll say how many days I need to add? 10 days for order date. Close bracket. Select F5. See, 8th November 2017. If I add 10 days, it is giving me 18th November 2017. What if I say month? And if I execute this, see, if I'm adding 10 months, then it is 8th September 2017. Like this. To make it as 12, that means 1 year. Same thing, suppose if I go here and say year, and I'll say 1. That means you're adding 1 year. See. So likewise, depending on the interval, we can actually add the number of days, month, year, whatever you want, you can. Right? Okay. So these are some of the date functions what we have in SQL query. All right. Next we have number functions. Number functions are actually, we work on numbers. Not many functions are there. So number functions. Let's work on this. Let me first take one query. Select from parts. Let me select profit. And I'll execute this. See? In this, I have some negative values. To get negative values, I'll say where profit is less than 0. Now, if I select this, I have all negative numbers. I want to convert these negative numbers into positive values. So for that, we have a function called as abs. Okay, abs of profit. Select Fi. You can see that all the negative values will be converted to positive value. So abs is available in Excel as well. Suppose if you think that I want to convert negative numbers to positive numbers, I can use this abs. All right, next, ceiling and floor and rounder. These 3 functions are actually used for rounding the values. Now, when I say ceiling, it will round the values to the nearest integer. What is integer? The whole numbers. That is to the highest value. Floor, this will actually round the values to the nearest value, that is the lowest value. Let me show you both. I'll say, so let me take the same query, but we'll take only profit. Okay, this time Let's not have any filters. Select profit. Okay. Now I want to round ceiling of profit. Let me execute this. See, 41.9136 is 42. 219.582 is 220. So it is like it is rounding up to the nearest value, that is 14.164 or whatever. It is giving me 15. Same thing, suppose if I go here and I'll say floor profit F1. See, it is the lowest value. Similarly, I have round and I'll say profit. Round is actually used for rounding the decimal numbers. The number of decimal numbers I specify here, it will round off to that particular decimal number. Say F5, I can see that 41.9136 is 41.91. 219.582, it is 219.58. Now just see, you go here, see 14.1694 will be 14.17. Likewise, the round will happen for two decimal numbers. All right, the next whatever we have, say power to the power of. Let's say go here, select power, say 2 to the power of 3. Now if I execute this, this will give me 2 into 2 into 2. Suppose if I say 8 to the power of 3, select, see, that is power. Random number, exactly what we have in Excel, 0 to 1. That is a random number. I will say F5, I can see I'm getting this random number. Sign actually will give me 3 results, that is 1, -1 and 0. If I say 1, that means it is positive number. If I say it is -1, it is negative number. 0 means it is 0 value. Let me select the value from profit. Here I have this profit. Let me delete. Okay. Sign of profit. Let me select this. Let's say F5. You can see that I'm getting this 1, -1, and no, let's see, somewhere we have 0. See, we have this 0. If it is 0, it will give me 0. If it is negative, it will give me -1. If it is positive, it will give me 1. Likewise, we can use this sign for getting positive, negative, or 0 values. Next, square root. Suppose if you think that I want square root, we can use this SQRT. Let's try this. Select SQRT, square root of 100. This will give me the square root result. Square means to the power of 2. Square of, let's say, 10. 10 into 10. So these are some of the number functions. But again, we have this sum, average, minimum, maximum. All these are also number functions, but they are actually used for the aggregate function. So to aggregate the values, to grouping the values, so we use this function. Okay. All right. So this is what I have for today. We'll have more interesting topics tomorrow. Okay. So these are the functions what we use, that is text functions, date functions, and number functions. There are so many other functions as well. You can go to the Microsoft website itself. You can go there and you can try and see. There are so many functions for references, right? So I'll stop here. Now I'll take 1 minute of yours. I want the people to tell me how was the session, and then I'll take the questions. How was the session? I'll take 1 minute of yours quickly. I want all of you. Okay. All right. So now questions. People have any questions? No questions? All right, people. So I'll meet you guys tomorrow with more interesting topics. Okay. Take care, all of you. Have a great day and see you guys tomorrow with more interesting topics on SQL Server. Okay.